In today's video, I want to discuss about this question that I got from one of the recent videos. Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining. Before we go any further, I want to thank and welcome the new subscribers, the new family members in our circle. I really want to acknowledge you. Thank you very much for being part of this family. My name is Nerissa, and I come here and just share our experiences with my autistic son, the lessons we've drawn from his journey, and the things that we are learning as his parents, as his family, from raising him, and the things that we are finding that work and things that does not work. I want to thank everyone for your continued support, everyone for your engaging in the comment section. I really, really appreciate all those who are loving our posts. We are sharing. I really acknowledge you. In today's video, I want to discuss about this question that I got from one of the recent videos. The question is, how did you tell Christopher's siblings about his autism? How did you tell Christopher's siblings that he is autistic? So this is the question that we want to digest today. We want to digest, we want to go through it, we want to go over it, we want to go behind it, we want to digest it, regurgitate it, and see how best I can answer this question. And just to be fair and for context, Chris is our middle child, and he has got an older brother, Gracious, and he has got a little sister. So he has got two siblings, one older than him and one younger than him. And they are all 2 years apart. That means at some point, I had a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a newborn baby. That is what it means. So it's at some point they were all toddlers. The oldest was even a toddler, and the other one, yes, I had 2 toddlers and a newborn at some point. Because they are so close in age, a lot of our learning and explaining just happened as life was also happening. We just ticked off the answering of questions as they were ticking off their crawling, sitting, speech milestones, potty training. That's when we just made sure that the conversations were part also of the educating, to say your brother is different from you. And we did not wait for them to ask honestly. Of course, there are incidents where they would ask, why is Chris not doing this with us? Or why is you doing this on his own? And then would tell them. And by the time the 2 siblings started asking those questions, we already had done some briefing just for them to know. And when they were younger, we never even used the word autism. We would just say the way Christopher thinks is different from the way you think. The way Christopher sees things, the way Christopher responds to people and to things and to situations is different from you. For example, Gracious used to ask quite a lot, why doesn't Chris go for play dates with also his age mates? And why doesn't he get invited to birthday parties? Or why don't we invite people when it's his birthday? So we would then answer in a way that made him understand that his other peers, they don't invite him because he hasn't made friends at that age, number one. And also he cannot socialize, he cannot play with them. So it will be of no use for them to come. We cannot arrange play dates, because when we arrange play dates, those people, when they come, they are expecting to come and play with him. They're expecting to come and have fun with him. And his kind of way of having fun is completely different from the way other people have fun. So those people that you would have invited will definitely get bored, or the people that would have invited him to their places or to the play date venue, they would also get bored because they are not going to get the social input, the social interaction that they will be expecting from him, because they will seek social positive interaction, and they will not get it, not because he's rude, but just because his brain is not wired to socialize. So we had to explain using real life examples in real time. And there wasn't really a point where we sat down and said, oh, okay, we need to tell you that Chris is autistic. We never sat down. I don't remember a specific timeline where we said, guys, we need to tell you about something important. So it could be when we're in the kitchen and Miranda and Gracious are busy helping me to cut the vegetables while we are getting ready for a meal, or while we are in the park playing and doing other things. And then we would just throw in that reminder. So we did speak about it, not once, not twice. We still talk about it now. And in most cases is to remind them, because already something we have been talking about, we've been educating each other about. And also the things that I would learn as their mom when I go to workshops about autism, or when I go also and meet other women in other autism related events. I would go and learn one or two things. I remember the other time I went to this organization and I learned about autistic meltdowns. When I came back, I updated them as well to say, you know what, guys, there's something I learned about meltdowns. This is how you explain a meltdown. And this person, actually the individual who explained the meltdown to me, made it very clear. And I think that was the most vivid explanation of an autistic meltdown that I even managed to share with my children, and it made sense, and it has made us be more compassionate, more kind, and extend empathy during a meltdown. Now we understand that he is not trying to be difficult. He is actually crying for help. So when I learned the definition, the practical example of what a meltdown is, and the sensation that people get when they are undergoing a meltdown, that is what helped me to understand. And I told myself, I also want his siblings to understand. So I explained that to them, and it has been so much helpful. On that particular day, I learned that I went to this event, and they were parents to autistic children, and there were also autistic adults. And this lady, when we were having a tea break, we were just socializing, and I was asking her a lot of questions, because when I meet autistic adults, I really want to learn a lot from them, and especially those that can really explain autism from their perspective and from also their experiences. I really sit and learn and draw some lessons from there. So I happened to ask her so many questions, but the one that I asked her was about autism, autistic meltdowns. And when I asked her about that, she explained using an example of, she said the sensation that autistic individuals get when they're having a meltdown is that sensation that you get when you choose. It was more like, as his siblings noticed the differences, would explain to them in simple, age-appropriate ways. For example, when Gracious was about 3, he would start asking questions, and Chris was 1 at the time. And Gracious would notice that when he is playing with toys and is expecting Chris to come and join and also be part of the fun of manipulating toys, Chris would not be interested. And so Gracious started asking questions, and we had to explain in simple, age-appropriate ways, and would basically just use the phrases like, Chris's brain is wired differently from yours. The same way your brain, the way you see life is completely different from the way Chris see life. That's why he will not come play with you, so don't even get upset. And it was really getting to Gracious because he wanted to share the toys. He wanted also to provoke, those siblings fight. And he was not getting any of that because Chris was not going to give that social positive interaction that he wanted. And at that age, we didn't use autism because we just wanted Gracious to understand him. It as a 3-year-old who has got a 1-year-old brother. And at that time, we also were not aware of the condition. So we even didn't use anything, but would just encourage him to say he will become better. And everyone's brain works a little bit different anyway. And Chris, or sometimes would just say Chris' brain help him see and do the things his own way. It wasn't about labels because, to be honest, that time Chris was also not even diagnosed. We had not picked up any red flags of autism. So we were just about to making sure that Gracious is accommodating, just as parents would want, naturally would want your children to understand each other. Even though we did not understand Chris at the time, and there was nothing much that was evident for us to get worried. But Gracious was already seeing, because if you would go to school, he was in a Montessori nursery school, the kids he would play with who were Chris' age, they would give him that social positive interaction. And when he comes home now, he wants to play with his brother, you would not get that. What then happened is, as they grew older also, the understanding also became much better. For example, when Chris was diagnosed when he was almost 3 years old and Gracious was 5, so he was a little bit older, and they also noticed quite a lot of things. And what happened around 5 years of age, when Gracious was around 5, is he had already picked up a pattern of the hospital visits that was happening a lot. And we kept reminding Gracious that we are taking Chris to the hospital. We did quite a lot of assessments, developmental assessments, leading towards the diagnosis. So about 3 months, we were going to the hospital every Tuesday, every Friday, for 3 good months, for those assessments to be carried out. So already Gracious knew that my parents will not be home at some point, and they will take my brother to the hospital, and we're not allowed to take Gracious with. So if he's not in school, you would be home, and you'd notice that we are not at home. We are at the hospital with his brothers. So somehow we also got accustomed to the routine, knowing that they are always in the hospital with my brother. My brother is being assessed, and would come home and update him of the assessment, age appropriate. And he was also concerned. He wanted to know what was wrong with his brother, because he was seeing how different his brother was from the other peers that he see outside the house who were same age with Chris. So it was something that he was now also waiting for answers. So when we finally told him of the diagnosis, we just told him that this is what the doctors have told us. And for him, I think there was a relief. Yes, he grieved the version that he would never get, but I think there was a relief to at least say, now we know what we are dealing with. And I remember he would research and he would read a lot about it, because now he knew what he was dealing with. And then for for the little sister, she was born into a family where Chris was already there, and she doesn't know any other world without Christopher. So she has never lived without Christopher. She just came into the house from the hospital, and Christopher was there already. And so we kept, when Miranda was about 1 year, 6 months, she also started asking, why is Chris different from Gracious? She could notice that the way Gracious treats me, he treats me with kindness, he picks me gently. But Chris, if is to come into my room, he will do things in a not gentle way, and he can wake me up from while I'm fast asleep. And she started feeling very uncomfortable when he's in her space, because there was that unpredictability of behavior. So she knew exactly that he was different. The first things that she asked when she started having a speech was, why is Chris like that? Why is Chris different from Gracious? Gracious treats me with kindness, but Chris is a bit rough. Why is he like that? We kept it really open. We encouraged questions, we encouraged them to raise their concerns, and we always made sure they knew that being autistic is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It just means Chris experiences the world differently, and we celebrate that. Then we also made sure that we normalize the differences. One thing that really helped was just normalizing it every day. Like if we were doing something as a family and Chris needed a break, would explain why Chris needs a break so that he recharges, and also just that he self-regulates. And that made it feel very normal, not something that needed a very big announcement with deep breaths and calming each other down before you make it. It also helped his siblings to develop empathy and understanding naturally. They learned to be flexible and patient without feeling like it was something special they had to do. It was just a family life that they had to live. Now, this is my reflection and encouragement. Looking back, I'm actually glad that I didn't make a very big, serious announcement that, guys, come, let's sit down. I think that would have made it look like something separate, something alien, something far-fetched. For us, explaining autism as we went along, it really helped. It helped keep it positive and part of who Chris is, and not something that defines him. It ceased to be what autism is, but it just became natural to support and just one piece of his amazing personality. And that's why I think my children, they support him. They have days when they really get the worst out of autism, but they also have these tolerance levels, and also they get their own support that is there to help them where they go and vent. They get the professional support, and they also get to talk about things that they don't like about Chris. So it's not just them accepting everything. They still question. They even question the future. They question a lot of things. Some of the questions that you might think they're very uncomfortable, but they ask those questions, and they know it's okay. There is no question too sensitive or that should not be asked. So to anyone who is watching, who might be wondering how to tell their children that their sibling is autistic, my advice would be, don't stress about getting it perfect. Don't stress about making a perfect announcement. Let them see their sibling. Let them love their siblings for who they are. And not for the diagnosis, but for the whole person. Thank you for asking that question. Thank you very, very much. It has actually made me think and reflect. And if you found this helpful, relatable, please feel free to share with your own other circle, and also share your own experience, what you think you were going to do if you were in my shoes, or what you advise other moms, other dads, other families there looking after their special needs children. How would you break the news to their siblings, especially the little ones? I'm so interested in the little ones because my children are also young. But for those who get diagnosis later in life, how also do you break the news? Do you also take the approach that I took, to take my time and all that and allow children to grow and understand as they grow? Or you'd say there's no time, we have to tell them now? I would love to hear from you. And thank you very much for watching. Please remember to comment. Your comments give me encouragement. It also makes me